So today we're going to compare two people running for the U.S. Senate in Virginia, which is my state, the one that I want to win and the one who is leading in the polls by a big margin. So you can guess. Tim Kaine, a Democrat, or Matt Waters, Libertarian. Guess which one I support. Okay, it's no-brainer, duh. So we're going to go through their websites. Most of their issues line up, meaning they have the same issues on their priorities. But some don't, so you might have to Google some things to figure out. But we're just going to compare the two, and it's going to be hilarious because Tim Kaine really fucking sucks. So let's just go into here, shall we? Matt Waters wants to restore fiscal responsibility, something that needed to be done decades ago. But neither party seems to give a flying shit about, which I've talked about many times in my videos, how just none of the major two parties gives a flying fuck about that we are 21 trillion debts, that we're going to default on our loans eventually and not be able to pay the interest on the loans, that we are currently, most of it from China, the debt we're in mostly from China, and then we're going to default. It's going to be 2008 all over again, but no one seems to give a shit about that. So Matt Waters actually wants to spend what we have and not go trillions of dollars in debt, which should be common sense, and that's what we did for the vast majority of the country's history. But after World War II, especially where we escalated and just spending like a crack addict, but we're not going to go into history on that, whatever. So he gives all these stats about what he needs us to do in regards to spending freeze, privatize, defund, repeal, all these things. Which, yeah, that's kind of harsh. Especially, the only thing I had a real issue was repealing the Family and Medicare Leave Act, because that seems kind of harsh, considering how there are many people who really need that to survive. And there are a lot of hardworking people. It's not like people just who are lazy. It's not like it's welfare for lazy people. It's people who are working their asses off, and they need a little bit of leave for a death of family or a birth, whatever. And really, that wouldn't save that much money compared to the other things. So that was the only thing I took issue with. But I mean, his logic is sound, and you can flip-flop. You can change into things you want to repeal, change into things you want to enact spending freeze, whatever, as long as the number comes up. Stop borrowing 1.5 trillion. You know, as long as we cut the 6% of total spending, which are these three programs. See, that's solid numbers that you can mismatch how you want. But yeah, it makes perfect sense. Totally agree with that. Where does Tim Kaine stand on this? He doesn't care about balancing the budget. This is the closest issue he has to it. And guess if he's going to talk about balancing the budget. I mean, am I wrong? This is where he would put, if he was doing anything with fiscal responsibility or balancing the budget, then he would put that in the economy part, because all his other things, these have nothing to do with the economy. Okay, so he has a little blurb here, and guess what? He doesn't mention anything about balancing the budget or getting rid of the debt. In fact, one of the only solid things he mentions is raising the minimum wage to $15 a fucking goddamn hour. That would make the problem even worse. That would, first of all, if you're a government worker, so the government has to spend more and more, that would increase government spending like a motherfucker. It would kill business, which would kill revenue, which would kill the amount of taxes that the government takes from businesses. So, completely would not solve this problem at all. He would make it worse with all his fucking shit. What a fucking surprise. Well, you lost on that one, didn't you, Tim Kaine? Look at this. I want to go to the main, look at that face. It is so punchable. He is such a fucking asshole. He looks like an asshole. He looks like a complete fucking faggot who has no testosterone, is a complete cuck, and just toes the party line in regards to horrible democratic policies. I hate this guy. He's probably going to win. He's beating Corey Stewart by a motherfucker, and he's beating Matt Waters by a motherfucker. Virginians are just voting for the most horrible politicians, but I'm getting sidetracked. We're talking about just comparing the issues here. Okay, so let's continue, shall we? Tax reform. Yeah, for the vast majority of this country's history, we didn't have an income tax. We kept 100% of their paychecks. It is very burdensome for people who are below the middle class to pay 25% of their income in various taxes, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and then the state and federal tax. All that combined is around 25%, give or take. Very burdensome when you make way less than the average person in your county. Completely fucking ridiculous. It stifles personal growth. It's hard for people to ever come into the middle class. People constantly complain about the middle class being gutted from this society, which is true. What they also don't talk about is that there's some poor people who never ever get the chance to even get in the middle class in the first place. They are permanently barred for making the average income in their area, in part because of the heavy taxes. If people were to write a check to the federal government every pay period to show how much they're paying the government, oh, that would piss people off so much. They would show for sure how much fucking money we were giving the government to waste. Replace the personal federal income tax. Eliminate the federal income tax. Replace it with nothing. This action would give every American a 7 to 10% pay raise and force massive cuts to federal government spending. Awesome. That's what we need. That would make life so much easier. That would help, again, cuts to federal government spending would go in line with his previous issue of lowering government spending to balance the budget. What does this complete fucking retard talk about tax reform? Nowhere. Nowhere did he talk about tax reform. Because he wants to keep high taxes. Democrats love high taxes. They want to increase taxes. Of course, he's not going to put that as an issue on his page. That's suicide. But that's what his voting record is. That's what his party supports. Failed on that one, Tim Kaine. You don't give a shit. You do not give a flying goddamn shit about the poor person in your own fucking state who is struggling to make a living and can never achieve prosperity. In part, your horrible tax policies are just one of many reasons why they can't do that. So look at this complete doublespeak here. His website looks great. What was I going to talk about? Tim knows to have a strong Virginia. Where else are we looking at? I don't want to meet Tim. That's completely fucking gay. Tim grew in a middle-class family. Exactly. That explains it right there. He never struggled in the lower class. He has no idea what it's like. He grew up in the middle class. Middle class, yeah, so just fuck this dude, dog. God, he's a full privileged prick. Okay, so far Matt Waters is 2 for 0 because Tim Kaine doesn't even talk about tax reform or lowering federal spending at all, because those two are related. Monetary reform, we'll just talk briefly on this because this goes hand in hand. The first 3 issues here are all economic policies. Talk about inflation, to audit the Federal Reserve, stabilizing the currency, the U.S. dollar, blah, 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 blah. Where is Tim Kaine to talk about all this? To talk about monetary reform or tackling inflation or whatever, any of those things? Nothing. He doesn't even mention. He does not give a flying fucking shit because Democrats have worked so hard to increase inflation, to devalue our currency. When does he talk about anything? Here. This tiny little blurb. He wants a strong economy. These policies would not create a strong economy. Any economist who has half a broken brainstem could tell him that. But he doesn't surround himself with economic advisors who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. He gets other liberal faggots to tell him all these horrible policies that have been running our economy to the ground for decades. What a fucking... oh my god, this guy's such an idiot. Okay, so 3 for 0 here for Matt Waters. Okay, so Matt Waters is also pro-life. Awesome. And he ties in the war on drugs and the war on terror as life issues, because fundamentally that is, he talks about that more in foreign policy, whatever, but it is related to the life issue, life in all regards, not just abortion, because obviously the right to life is applicable in more situations than just abortion. But that's what most people talk about, which is why most of his stuff talks about pro-life, which is awesome. But then he also ties in these other things. So let's talk about these three things. Okay, so Matt Waters is pro-life. Tim Kaine is pro-murder the fuck out of millions of babies because they're not really a human, so it's okay. So he's a bloodthirsty maniac who revels in killing unborn babies who have done nothing wrong. Tim Kaine supports the war on drugs and the war on terror. Oh, what a surprise! He supports all of these horrible policies that kill literally millions upon millions of people. The war on drugs kills millions of innocent people. The war on terror has killed millions of innocent people. The abortion has killed far more than those two. Millions upon millions over the years. And Tim Kaine just doesn't give a shit about that. Does he talk about... he's going to... Tim understands that women in America face a complex set of barriers. Oh, do you think that discrimination against women still exists? Tim supports women's constitutional rights to make their own healthcare decisions. Where the flying fuck in the Constitution to say you have the right to make your own healthcare decisions? Are you fucking retarded? Of course the fuck you are. Why am I even asking that question? But that's what how he frames it is. Murdering unborn children is their own healthcare decisions. Where the fuck is that in the Constitution? You know what is in the Constitution? The right to life. And guess what your bloodthirsty, maniacal policies break? The unborn baby's right to life, which is why you're a fucking asshole. Look at this guy. He is such a complete cuck. Like I care about the women. Let me show how much I care about women by making a whole section about just how much I care about them. I'm a good person. I'm not going to get Me Too'd. I'm not some of those evil, nasty Republicans that hate women. Oh my god, dude. So he's pro-abortion. In that case, he said right there in his women's equality. That's how he frames it. It's so amazing how these people just twist words to mean what they don't mean. So murdering innocent babies is women equality in his eyes. Wow, you're really fucked up, dude. And where are you going to talk about the war on drugs and war on terror? You think this would be under civil rights because the war on drugs is violating people's civil rights all the time. I don't see that. Do you not give a shit? I thought you cared about black people. I thought you cared about minorities and women. Do you not care about all the minorities and black people who are getting killed by the racist Trump government in enforcing the war on drugs? Don't you care about that, Kaine? Why didn't you put that on your fucking website? Your fucking joke of a website. Oh, but you don't. Because you don't give a shit. What you are not saying in your website is saying a lot more than what you are saying. Which is why you're fucking retarded. What's that, 4 for 0 now for Matt Waters? Okay, so he goes more into detail about the war on terror in this 5th issue here with Peace. Yep, it's costing so much. It's $5.6 trillion. All the dead service members over the years, all of the vastly more innocent civilians, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm not going to read every single paragraph of all these websites entirely, otherwise you'd be here for 2 hours. You know, you can read this all for yourself. But, like, literally, all this makes fucking sense. All this complete fucking sense. Do not waste money on unjust wars. Do not engage in reckless wars that involve innocent U.S. service members getting killed. Not fighting for freedom, not fighting for rights, not fighting to protect Americans, but to protect the 1% in their global capitalist, not even capitalist, the global 1%, in their greed, whatever you want to call it. The people who wanted to invade Afghanistan and steal the mineral resources. The people who wanted to invade Iraq for political purposes, not to get the weapons and munitions direction. Not the, lying to U.S. service members to get them killed. The innocent civilians. How about not be terrorists? Because the U.S. is one of the biggest terrorists in the face of the planet in killing hundreds of thousands of civilians. Stationing military bases in over 120 countries, creating a huge amount of problems. They are, just money-wise, if you don't want to talk about the problems that U.S. military bases cause for the local population, just talk about money if you don't want to talk about that. Reduce the quote-unquote defense budget. It's not really defense, it's all offense. Avoid foreign wars, remove all U.S. troops, take them home with their families, end highly expensive military bases, whatever. Complete sense. Makes complete logical sense. This is how you conduct a country. Let's see what Cuckface has to say about the wars. Maybe we'll be here. And he talks about President Trump's effort to undercut diplomacy, which he hasn't. That's a subject for another time I'm not getting into. Oh, that is rich. Look at this. He is a leading voice in demanding that presidents, no matter their party, cannot unilaterally wage war without congressional approval. Then why didn't you fucking say something when Obama did it, you fucking asshole? Lord, the hypocrisy on this stupid-ass motherfucker. He did not say a goddamn thing when Obama was drone striking the hell out of children in Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, Nigeria, all those countries, without congressional approval. But as soon as the mean, racist Trump does, then suddenly he has a fucking issue with it. This guy doesn't give a flying fuck about this issue. He just doesn't like it because Trump is doing it. Like, he's the first president to ever fucking do this. Are you fucking kidding me? We haven't fucking declared war since 1945. Get fucked, you loser. Obviously, by his support of President Obama, he doesn't give a flying fuck about ending the war on terror or all these unilaterally, the dozens of wars running across the world. He doesn't give a shit about that. He just doesn't give a flying fucking shit about it. So once again, Matt Waters beats him. Well, what a fucking surprise that the libertarians are winning across the board every single fucking time. And if you can convince me that Tim Kaine's issue, his stance on these issues is better than Matt Waters', please, I am all ears. I would love to hear someone's explanation as to why any of these horrible fucking stances is better than Matt Waters. I really would. I'm not being sarcastic. And I'm not going to curse at you like I am in this video. I'm not going to do that if you comment. Fuck. This is an act. This is a rant for a reason. I'm not going to do that for people who actually take the time to comment. But literally, it is no fucking contest. Let's go to immigration reform. Yep, he wants to fix the broken system so it does not take years and years and years for people to legally immigrate, which would decrease the amount of illegal immigration, because if legal immigration was easier, then there'd be less incentive to take the dangerous risks in illegal immigrating. One of the few disagreements I have with Matt Waters is that he doesn't like the high wall that President Trump proposed, which I do support the wall, but again, I don't support us paying for it. So if Trump is really going forward the way that he says he's going to go forward, in which we pay for it and Mexico supposedly pays us back, no, I don't want that. That's not his campaign promise. He's breaking his campaign promise because that's not what he said. Whatever. Where does Tim Kaine stand on this? He wants a DREAM Act, which I think actually Matt Waters supported. Is deferred action childhood's rival? Yeah, this is one of Matt Waters' actually weakest arguments. If I had to pick one, I really didn't agree with one. The other was on his website. Oh, DACA. Yeah, so I don't agree with that. I don't agree with Matt Waters opposing overturning DACA. No, we should definitely overturn that. As well as the DREAM Act, which Tim Kaine. So basically, they're kind of both wrong. And look at those progressive points. He delivered the first ever Senate floor speech in Spanish. What are we doing here? Yeah, isn't that amazing? Democrats support open borders. Yeah, that's really going to fix the immigration system. That's a whole. You can talk a whole different. That's a whole video, just in itself, of the Democrats' horrible policy position of open borders, and immigration for all. And Tim Kaine's little statement is not very specific, and is full of weasel words and flat out lies. Trump is not anti-immigrant. He doesn't care about border security. Are you fucking kidding me? He can say, "Oh yeah, I want to fund border security," but then advocate for open borders 2 days later, in totally separate situation. Are you fucking kidding me? God. We're gonna wrap this up here because we're almost at the end here. Yep. So we are going into civil liberties, Matt Waters, war on drugs. It's right here. Horrible policies should have never started. Tim Kaine mentioned something about this. In fact, he wants to continue the war on drugs because his idol, his god, Obama, accelerated the war on drugs like a motherfucker. And yet he supported Obama the entire time. He didn't say a goddamn thing about it. So Tim Kaine supports continuing the war on drugs. He supports breaking the Fourth Amendment, and he is anti-gun rights, anti-Second Amendment, in which case he boldly brags about on his website. Look at that. He proudly boasts an F rating from the NRA. Wait, you are proudly boasting that you like fascist and overbearing government policies? What a complete fucking asshole. And this guy constantly travels with armed security, but he doesn't want ordinary American citizens to have guns to protect themselves. What a fucking hypocrite. Tim Kaine, if you hate guns so much and they're so evil, then get rid of your armed security. See how safe you feel. Go to all your stupid little rallies that you do to a bunch of liberal fuckers, and see how well it goes, man. Yeah. Then you'll really want a gun if someone tries to attack you at one of your rallies. You really want the armed security then, don't you? But you don't want ordinary Americans to have that right because, again, when you grew up middle class, you grew up a privileged fucking twat, and you can't put yourself in ordinary American shoes who can't afford armed guards 24/7, and you can't see why they would want guns. Tim is a gun owner and supports the Second Amendment. No, he doesn't. That's why he's F rating from NRA. No, you do not support the Second Amendment. If you believe that you want to ban assault weapons and magazines, you do not support the Second Amendment. You can't have both those. You have to pick one of the two. And guess one which I think he really supports. Tim believes weapons of war have no place in our streets. Yeah, I'm really glad we have the constitutional right to concealed carry or open carry in other states. Yeah. You haven't been in situations where you're out in the streets and people are trying to kill you with guns or try to kill other innocent people. You're fucking glad you have a gun in that situation. But of course, you never were in a situation, were you, Tim Kaine? Because you are a privileged middle-class twat. You never had to deal with that. So once again, Matt Waters blows him out of the water on all civil liberties issues. But especially Second Amendment. That's the one that is really fucking amazing. That Tim Kaine is proud that he has an F rating. A twat. And that about wraps up. You can talk about education reform, Social Security reform if you want, but that's not as important. Because we already touched on Social Security with the budget thing and education reform. Might as well fucking take a look ahead. Oh, he doesn't have anything about it. Okay, well, Tim Kaine actually beat Matt Waters on this because he actually has something about it. Did you have anything about education? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so maybe Tim Kaine actually beat Matt Waters on one issue. The fact that he actually has policies in place, but they might suck. So we'll just give it to him. Why don't we just give it to him? This one victory that Matt Waters beat him on every single other fucking issue. Fine. So there you have it. There is the comparison of Matt Waters and Tim Kaine running for the U.S. Senate for Virginia. Guess who I'm going to vote for? Yeah, Matt Waters ain't perfect. There's no candidate that's perfect. There's no candidate. There are way too many issues and way too many different caveats, different tiny parts of each policy. Like, for example, we talked about tax reform. There's lots of different parts in that just that one issue, tax reform. There's no way that you're going to find a candidate that agrees with you on every single tiny little thing. So you got to make compromises. And the fact that I agree with Matt Waters on 90% of the issues, yeah, that's fine. That's something I can deal with. I have a safe conscience voting for someone that I agree with 90% of the time. And the fact that Tim Kaine, literally, I can't think of a single fucking thing that I agree with him with. And even when he says things I agree about, like protecting the environment and supporting veterans, he doesn't really actually believe in any of that stuff. Look how progressive he is. He's with a woman, a black person, and an Asian person. Even though he supports policies that discriminates against whites and Asians. That's that point. You know what? So just like, yeah, Tim Kaine is 100% bad. He might have some caveats in some of these policies that are good. But the fact that Matt Waters beats him, I would say, I agree with Matt Waters 90% of the time, 90% plus, and Tim Kaine 10% or less. It's really no contest of who to vote for.